Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming tonight. This is the October 22nd, 2013 meeting of the Conservation Commission. And on our old business, we'll go straight. We have three issues. And I'd like to take the first one is for DEP number 84-467. And this is where we're correcting an error on the order of conditions form that we wrote. Right.
Yes.
And do we have the actual form?
Yes, and I checked with Christine Odiaga, and it's, yeah, I just put corrected,
So
which I will do that.
Nancy actually asked Christine Odiaga. Christine Odiaga, Jerry knows her. She's the lady who's from the DEP that kind of revolves around the, on a circuit advising all the conservation commissions on behalf of DEP. And Nancy asked her, she said, in reissuing an order of conditions due to a scrivener's error that was issued in June, does an order of conditions or amended order of conditions get checked off? There's nothing being changed in the project. I'm just adding lot 1 beside the address, which was listed in the plans. And the address, yeah?
Yeah, that's what we issued.
The address, just so you know, is 498 Linwood Street in Abington. This was one where the gentleman had, I think, 2 plots. Mm-hmm. And they changed, and then planning changed it, planning or zoning changed it to 1 plot. And we allowed him build. He was very close to the wetlands, and I think a lot of it was within the buffer zone. But we allowed him put some building there, and he didn't write lot 1 on his notice of intent.
No, it wasn't written on the notice of intent, but I mean those were the plans that went with it.
So Christine Odiaga says, sounds like a corrected order of conditions to me. You'd only check off amended if a public hearing was held to address the changes. So we're just correcting the order of conditions.
Yeah.
Now, the background to this is I believe that either planning or zoning have actually said that he will be allowed to build another building there in that area.
Zoning, but he still has to come back to us.
Yes, he still has to come. So we can expect another visit from Mr. Crowley for 498 Linwood Street. But this is just to correct that. So, are there any questions? Can I have a motion to correct the scrivener's error on the order of conditions for 498 Linwood Street, Lot 1?
Motion to correct.
And second. Thank you. Mr. Newman and Mr. Stone. All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay, carried. Thank you, Nancy.
So it's just on the, that's all.
Right.
And I had mistaken the Z for a 2 and the other one, so that was corrected.
Excellent.
But that's it.
Excellent. So we don't have to sign. Do you have to sign this?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to sign it and send it on. Please. We're missing a good show next door.
I hope that's not the start.
Okay. So the next project we're going to hear is a continued hearing again on DEP number SEO 84-465 0 Adam Street for the construction of an industrial building including site work at 0 Adam Street within the buffer zone. So we have Mr. Tracksmith with us.
Good evening, Al Trachemus from SciTech Environmental. It's been a while since we've been back. A little explanation on the delay. We had a rather extensive review through the planning board process and the planning board's consulting engineer. And with such an extensive review, there were some review fees that needed to be discussed. And once we got through the review fees and the review, it took a while, but we're back here before you now. We have now received approval from the planning board They are, however, withholding final approval until we're through with the Conservation Commission. If there are any changes that are going to be made to the plans, they would like to have one set rather than a plan that was approved by the planning board and another plan that was approved by the Conservation Commission. The revisions that were made since the last time we were here essentially were just some additional notations on the plan. We added some additional invert at the building for the sewer, and the review consultant had a question regarding, we called out bank run gravel to be used in the embankments, in the infiltration area, retention area, and that was changed to just using clean coarse sand to finish the surface. There really wasn't, other than that, it was dealing with downspouts. There really weren't any changes. There weren't any changes to the building location or the shape or location of the stormwater treatment area. It was on the lines of technical issues. And we also, one of the important things as well was that they required that we perform a mounding analysis to ensure that the basin indeed will drain within 72 hours. We contracted a third-party engineer for that, Peter Dillon, and he performed the mounding analysis, and that showed that the basin indeed drains within 72 hours. And now the plans that are before you, they totally meet the stormwater management. They're in compliance with the stormwater management regulations. And as I said, we've addressed the planning board and the planning board's consultants' concerns, and we're now back before you. So I open it up to any questions you may have.
Does anybody have any questions on this?
On the right-of-way, what did you do? What changed? Can you use the right-of-way?
As far as we know, we can use the right-of-way. That's going to be an issue between our client and the water department if there is even an issue there, because all of our work is well above that. We're not excavating into it. It's a fill situation, and we're just going to be putting pavement on top of it and putting that small sediment bay, but that's all filled. We're not going down any lower, any deeper, so there's really no chance that we're going to be interfering with the water line that's underneath there. And if it comes a time that they have to come in, replace it, repair it, it's going to be on a dime to restore it.
Okay.
So your entrance is going to be different from where that gated entrance is?
Right, the gated entrance is right over here. Is
Okay.
down at this location. We're going to be coming up for as far away from that as we possibly can with the driveway entrance and off of Adams Street.
Adams Street Route 58.
Yes.
And there's a gate there now, is that what?
This is, the gate is.
Oh, I
right here.
see. Okay.
The gate's right here.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, what we do is we, the darker version.
Right.
The gate's right at this location down here, and that leads out to the back.
I understand. Okay, now I understand.
Okay, all right.
Want me to close it?
Maybe we'll close it then.
Well, yeah, we're just gonna keep it open about 4 or 5 inches. That's it.
I mean, my sign, there
That's
was a
good right
sign
there.
that says they can come.
You can't close it.
You close it all the way.
I did.
Okay.
It looks okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay. You know, they're going to be
Yeah,
gone.
We'll just,
They're going to be gone.
there we go.
Good.
Perfect.
It's all the kindergartens next door. Is there any
Yeah.
other questions?
I don't see any problems with it. If the planning board has approved it and there's no wetlands that you're involved with, I don't see any problem with that. Do you?
Well, there is wetlands.
The wetlands are located, this dark
Right.
green line right here, that's the wetlands limit.
Where's the buffer zone for that?
The buffer zone's right out, really almost the whole project's within the 100-foot buffer zone. This line right here cuts through the front of the building and over. This is all the 100-foot buffer zone area.
So it's a project within the buffer zone.
Yes.
Now, I have to be honest, Alex, that I'm not very conversant in the stormwater reporting requirements, but I know that was an issue here in this because of the wetlands, because of the drainage, because there's supposed to be, is there supposed to be an aquifer underneath there? Is there?
Not at present time. There's talk about an aquifer over at Southfield,
But there's not an aquifer on this land?
not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay.
But Southfield also has, I believe, 6 to 8 Superfund sites on it, so they've got issues over there that they're addressing as well.
Sure, right. So what I was going to ask is the stormwater calculations. So one of the members who can't be here tonight did say, she said we should have one comprehensive package of stormwater calculations instead of the bits and pieces. This is impossible to follow and they should submit the entire package. And what I think she's talking about is this form that we had, the DP form that talks about the stormwater calculations. But I do remember our last meeting where you were saying that in your presentation it's no longer the practice to use that.
Right, there used to be what they call the stormwater checklist. I think you can still get it online, but it's not really used anymore. What they require us to do is to address each one of the 10 performance standards under the stormwater regulations, and I just printed out a copy tonight just to use it as reference, but this is in your package. You were submitted with the original notice of intent submission. And the 10 standards, if you want, I can just go through those very briefly.
Yeah, why not?
The first one is no new stormwater conveyances, outfalls, discharges may discharge untreated stormwater directly to or cause erosion in wetlands or waters of the Commonwealth. That's the whole reason for having the sediment forebays and the retention basin. The way the basin's designed is this recharges everything through the 10-year event. And then after that, there'll be actually only 0.14 CFS leaving the site even under the 100-year event. Then that would flow through the riprap overflow into the wetlands area. But you're talking a 100-year event, a quarter of a 0.14 CFS. It's almost containing the entire 100-year event, so that there's very little stormwater leaving the property even through the 100-year storm. So you're not caught in the sediment forebays. These are sized for the 1 inch runoff instead of the ½ inch. So these are well sized to treat the stormwater before it even enters the infiltration area. So you're not getting any sediment getting washed into the wetlands. You're not getting, there isn't a situation where you would have an erosion condition going into the wetlands. That's all controlled by the sediment basin and the infiltration basin. The second stormwater management is that the system shall be designed so that the post-development peak discharge rates do not exceed the pre-development pre-charge discharge rates. And in this case, because we have gravelly soil underneath here, typically what you'll find is, and until you hit the 10-year event, even under existing conditions, the hydrographs don't generate a runoff. If you look at a rainstorm on a gravelly, not a gravel parking lot, but a gravelly area, or if you're at the beach, you really don't see any runoff happening there. It's just immediately going into the ground. So up through the 10-year event, for instance, the 2-year event it comes out with 0 runoff under existing and proposed conditions, because that's all, the proposed is all taken care of in the basin. Under the 10-year event, you get 1/100th of a CFS under existing conditions. Once again, that's all going to be contained within the basin for the 10-year event. So a 10-year event storm is going to be totally contained and recharged on site. And the 100-year event, we matched that up the way we should have. It's only 0.14 CFS leaving the site under existing conditions, and it'll only be 0.14 CFS leaving the site under proposed conditions. So, and really that 0.14 CFS is really the area on the other side of the basin that you just can't contain. The third is the loss of annual recharge to groundwater should be minimized through the use of infiltration measures. We've got an extensive infiltration system on the property that recharges the groundwater. The next, number 4, is the total suspended solids removal, the TSS removal, where we're required to remove 80% through a combination of sweeping the parking lot, the sediment forebays, and the infiltration basin. You really exceed the 80% TSS removal because that stormwater, once again, isn't leaving the site, so you're not getting stormwater carrying sediment into the wetlands. So the 80%, and there's a separate TSS removal calculation in the notice of intent. Standard number 6 is regarding stormwater discharges within a Zone 2 or interim wellhead protection area. This is not in the Zone 2 or an interim wellhead protection area, so that one's not applicable to this project. Stormwater standard number 7 relates to a redevelopment project. That would be if we already had a building on the site and we're redeveloping. That's not the case here. This is all new construction. A plan to control construction-related impacts, including erosion, sedimentation, and other pollution sources during construction and land disturbance activities. Construction period erosion, sedimentation, and pollution prevention plan shall be developed and implemented during the construction phase of the project. We will do non-structural BMPs to mitigate short-term sedimentation.
Sorry,
and
what's BMPs?
best management practice.
Okay.
And those will include the straw wattles, the erosion control barrier all along the lower section of the property, so anything would be impeded by the straw wattles. And I like the straw wattles, or they're also mulch-filled wattles, which is either one, but I like the wattles better than the hay bales. They just seem to work a lot better. You can embed them in the ground a little bit easier. They just seem to be a better solution. And those will be placed down gradient of all construction. So we're going to, and you also have a very gravelly soil, so even during construction, a lot of the stormwater is going to infiltrate back into the ground before it has a chance to get to the wattles. And
Is that a bag containing the material?
it's about a 12-inch, they go anywhere from 12 inches to 24-inch diameter circles. They, lack of a better description, it looks like a long snake. And then you just stake them.
It's fabric around
Yes.
absorbent material?
Right. It works absolutely great. Long-term operation and maintenance plan shall be developed. We did develop a long-term operation and maintenance plan, and that was included in the submission as far as the maintenance of the stormwater controls over time, which really addressed the sweeping of the parking area, the cleaning of the sediment basins, and any removal of the maintenance of the drainage basin as well. I mean, if you look at some of these basins, you come back 5 years later and you get 3-4-inch trees growing out of them. The long-term maintenance plan is designed that these are maintained periodically and the vegetation maintained so that it doesn't overwhelm the basin, or else it will grow back in over time. And the last item on here is all illicit discharges to the stormwater management system are prohibited. Those are such that if we had our sanitary sewer draining into the infiltration area, those, in this particular project, that would be what an illicit discharge would be. So those are all taken care of. We do have a connection for the sanitary sewer, and we don't have any illicit any illicit discharges on the property. But that's what we do now. There used to be just a checklist that listed all those items, and now they just have us in narrative form, list the regulation, the requirement, and then show that we've addressed it.
Thank you, Mr. Trigginess. Are there any other questions or comments? Did we ever find out what they intend to house in the building? Do we know?
It's easy enough. We've updated the zoning on this, and really, under the zoning code, I forget what section is, section 721 or 721, 175, 21G, which is your industrial, wholesale, and transportation uses. On our site plan, we list under item 4, this is the one, plumbing, electrical, or carpentry shop, or other similar service or repair establishment other than those in 175, 21I6, which is, that references a home-based use for a skilled craftsman. We don't have a home-based skill for, and that's not allowed in this this zone regardless. But we're looking for a plumbing or electrical contractor to come in and utilize the building for their needs in accordance with the zoning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well,
So, do you have any other questions or comments? If I may, I'll put it to the floor, if there's any questions and comments to the floor. I don't think so. So we'll go back. Commissioners, I have to ask you, because this went for a long time. Are you under a gun on time limits of when this has to be done?
this time.
Because it's gone on so long. So we now should do the order. We will do a motion, whether we approve, and do an order of conditions. But I was wondering if you want to do the order of conditions at our next meeting. Would you feel comfortable? That's 14 days away, so still within the time. Or not 14 days away. So is it still within the time to give out our order? No?
That's fine.
Is that only because that gives you a chance to read up before we do it? Or do you want to go ahead with the order of
I
conditions?
say we go ahead with it tonight. The town's been holding these people up long enough, and I think everything looks like it's in order. The planning board's just waiting for us, everything else.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
up to you people,
What do you-
that's my
Does everybody
opinion.
else feel comfortable?
Yeah, I feel comfortable with it because I remember a lot of stuff he was going over.
Mhm.
I remember was talked about before at the previous meetings that we had. So,
Okay, well, what I would like to do first is for the motion to approve, ask for a motion to approve the notice of intent as presented by Mr. Trigginess tonight, and with all the papers that they actually brought forward, the plans. So do I have a motion to approve it?
The motion to approve
Mr.
the
Lindsay?
notice of intent?
Thank you. And
I'll
Mr.
second that.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
And as is the practice now, maybe we'll go straight to the order of conditions. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Do you feel comfortable with that? Do we have a...
I think you have to close it.
Oh, so we're going to close the meeting.
And then we
Now,
do.
so-
Yeah.
So I'm going to close the meeting if that's okay. So we're all set on that.
Okay, that goes by motion.
So I get a motion to close the meeting.
motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you, Nancy. So we're going to do our order of conditions. I think the last time I did one of these, I leaned on these and I was talking about them. Nobody had a copy, so everybody has a copy. So remember how the order of conditions is down as a form that we sign off on? Do we have that form to sign off on? We do. But at the end they ask what our standard order of conditions are. So this is a project that has been done in the buffer zone. So we look at erosion and sedimentation controls. They ask for a siltation fence barrier shall be placed on a limit of work line.
Here, it's under
Thank you.
signature sheet.
So would we put,
It's real close, it's almost,
how far are we from the wetland? We must be
is that within 10 feet?
10 feet? 10 feet. So 10 feet is what we're going to put, okay? So it's A1 is 10 feet, A2, A3, A4 for stabilization. There is no vegetation, but you are going to put, is that a parking lot where the white is? Yeah. And A5. And A6, all activities on the wetland side of siltation barrier are prohibited. Do you think is the consensus that all those apply A1 to 6?
Yes.
Yes.
B is drainage and runoff controls, and this is just what we heard from Mr. Chegamus. So B1,
Good.
B2, well, B3, I'm not sure that really applies, but B4, B5, stormwater detention basin shall be free draining. B6 is that a paved berm shall be installed around the perimeter of the parking lot, contain and direct the flow of water to the catch basins.
Do you have a Cape Cod berm going all the way around the parking lot?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. B7, if there's any
So do
problem.
you want 6?
Yes. Well, I'm going to ask them all. B8 is the hay bales. So is it the consensus that B1 through 8 applies?
Yes.
Okay. So that's B1 through 8. And then flood control. So this also is what Mr. Chegamus was talking about. C1, Mr. Chegamus says, prior to placement of any fill within the 100-year floodplain, whose extent is to elevation, a certain amount of compensatory flood storage areas will be constructed to final grade. So they talk about the elevation.
That's the top.
We're not in the 100-year floods, no.
Okay. C2 is the 2, 10, and 25-year storm.
Those are addressed, yes.
C2, C3, and C4, which is compensatory storage areas. Okay, is the consensus of C2 to C4?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
You said
Yeah.
compensatory storage, that would be if we were excavating within the
In the floodplain, you're not actually doing
No.
that. Okay, so it's C2 to C3.
Right.
And then surface water and groundwater control, quality control. And that goes to, I mean, one question I did have was the aquifer, and we don't think there's an aquifer under this.
There's talk about an aquifer in the future, I believe, over Southfield, but I have a hard time to believe that it could be potable. I would think they could probably use it for a golf course, only because of the hazardous waste issues they have over there.
Right, this was spoken about 10, 15 years ago too, on the basis going through the changes that they wanted to, I think there was an active aquifer on the base side, but seeing as it was so close to 2 or 3 Superfund sites, it was disregarded completely
Right.
because they weren't even considering.
You might be able to use it to water a golf course. but
Correct.
You're not gonna drink it.
Right, but I think they were also saying that there possibly could have been one further down underneath where the old drive-in range was, drive-in theater was.
Right.
But no, it was never confirmed that there was one there. There's never been any wells there, so.
On this, as I look at stormwater and groundwater quality control, it seems to me that only D4 is applicable. Would that be right? Which is simply that no rock salt or other de-icing chemicals should be used for snow and ice removal at any time on the site. And that's because it's linked to the wetlands. Would you agree or no?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else there? So the consensus is that D4 applies. E is wetland replication plans, and that's not an issue here. F is wildlife habitat protection. And it really isn't an issue because there is no wildlife that we've where the construction, where the project is. So I think F does not apply. Would you agree?
I agree.
So G is on-site conditions, and this is literally how they actually do the construction work. And I would think G1 through G7 would apply.
Yes.
Okay, and that literally is to do with waste products, stockpiling, like we talked about, petroleum products, how they handle that. If there is any contamination, contacting the Conservation Commission TP.
G5, what did you want on that?
All debris, fill, excavated material, construction material, and building material shall be stockpiled no more than
Shall be stuck more than,
more than. Well, do we want to put 10 feet or do we want to put greater? It's stockpiled, so we could put 50 feet. Could we put?
That's sort of what they did before.
Yeah, 50 feet. So, Alex, this says all debris, fill, excavated material, construction material, and building material shall be stockpiled more than 50 feet from any wetlands or resource area at a location to prevent sediment from surface runoff from entering the wetlands. At no time should any debris or other material be buried or disposed of within 100 feet of a wetland resource, other than fill permitted explicitly in the order.
What was it, more than 100 feet?
They tacked on this sentence: at no time shall any debris or other material be buried or disposed of in or within 100 feet of a wetland resource, other than the fill permitted explicitly in the order.
Buried and disposed of with a key, no, that's fine.
That's fine. And then stockpile 50 feet.
That looks like that'll work, because the building, yeah.
Is that
should be
okay?
Wherever the building is that 50 feet away?
From the wetlands area?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, but we wouldn't be stockpiling, we would put in the building, so we got 10 feet here. Yeah, the 50 would be fine, that should run right along this area here, so I don't see any issues with that, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Nancy, the consensus is we're including G1 through G7, 50 feet. Okay. H is administrative conditions. Included in this is that this passes on to the successor in any in the interest of the property. H1 is really to do with the construction of housing and lots. So I don't think that applies. Do we think that applies?
No.
H2 is that it goes through successor and interest. H3 I don't think applies because it talks about a subdivision plan.
No.
H4 is that this order should be included in all construction contracts. I would think that would apply, just simply in maintenance, stockpiling and stuff. H5 talks about a certificate of compliance. This is really for the landowner. It suggests a written statement by a registered professional engineer certifying compliance with the approved plans and order conditions may be required. And H6 talks about this, that 2 as-built plans should be submitted to the Conservation Commission at the same time as the certificate of compliance.
Say 2 as-built plans?
That's right. Would that be, is that?
Oh, 2 copies.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Been a long time doing this.
H7 is all these conditions are ongoing. H8 is that in a sale of property, the applicant should submit to the Conservation Commission a signed statement by the buyer that they're aware of the outstanding order conditions on the property. H9 is that condition numbers apply in perpetuity, which will not expire with the issuance of a certificate. So just to quickly go back, H2, H4, H5, H6, H7, H8, and H9. Would that be right?
Yes.
Okay, and lastly, we have the work schedule and sequence. So this lays out the the schedule of work that's done. And it is really, it really reflects the DEP general conditions. So where it applies, I would think I1, I2,
That's it. I
A
wanted
through
to.
H where it applies.
Yep.
Okay, that's the easiest way down to that. And then special conditions. And that's what I meant about reading this. I don't think, do we have any special conditions on this?
I don't think so.
It's a very clean project.
Yeah.
You know, in the way it's presented. So I cannot think of special conditions.
No?
Okay. I'm just going to pass on the order of conditions. All right. That's and that'll go out to you. Is that okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Thank you.
Have we lost the old colony, gentlemen? We've wiped that. Okay. What we might quickly do is move to our new business, and we'll go back to the last thing, which is to talk about the open space. Okay, and that's why Mr. Watson's here for that. But on the new business, the first thing is to ratify the enforcement order on 275 Chestnut Street. This is an order that, enforcement order that I drafted, but actually Jerry and Bill went out to look at the site. This 275 Chestnut was the pond, and there seems to be a clearing around it. And also there's construction in front of the house, the small house. I chatted to Mr. Vu on Monday. He stopped everything, he got it. It went out, I'm ashamed to say, guys, it only went out on Friday. That's why.
Saturday, they were pulling stumps right next to the pond.
Were they really?
I just happened to drive by there, and I just noticed.
You're kidding.
No, and they had their excavator out there, and I had to just slow down because I'm saying, what is that? It was a stump, well within 100 feet.
Yeah, I mean, everything's within 100 feet, actually.
Right, but they were, if you had a cease and desist, they were not following it.
I was there Thursday, cease and desist. I told Curtis to stop.
Saturday,
Saturday,
only
they
went out
pulled
on
a stump.
Friday. They came in on Monday. Mr. Vu came in on Monday. Nancy and I met him.
So I assume that they finished the work that the contractor was doing, and then that's it. I assume that's what he did.
So Jerry went out and spoke to them.
Thursday, he said,
Told them
cease and
to stop.
desist, stop. I told the contractor to stop, and he said, I'm taking some stumps out over there, Jerry. Go ahead, finish that today, and that's it.
Maybe
This
that's
is
what they
Thursday.
did. Okay.
No,
Those-
if he's there Saturday, he shouldn't have been there Saturday.
He was there Saturday.
He shouldn't have been there Saturday.
Well, he's coming. Mr. Vu's coming, or at least Mr. Vu and the gentleman who's doing the wetlands, mapping it out, is coming at our next meeting.
Okay.
I met with them on Monday, and they explained to me that they've stopped everything, that they were doing a pathway around the pond, which, as you know, we have big concerns about how they did it, but it's already done, so we're going to have to look at that. But also they are doing a driveway or walkway in front of their house, and they were doing the rocks for that. Now, this is for a project. This is the first step in a project. The next step, which will be done in 2014, is going to be the establishment of a centre, big building, for their church. And I gather either in summer of 2014 or summer 2015, the E-Buddha, which is this big religious shrine, is coming to Abington, and many people are going to come and see it. So they have to have their construction in place for this. So this is going to be a project that's going to be before you, I think, quite a bit over the next few months. This is a church. It's not a private homeowner. So we'll have to look at, I think remediation may be an issue here, where they've already done things.
I mean, but if he said they went back, that, I guess they're not believing what we're saying. Do I assume that?
Yeah, it seems like there's a
Unless they
disregard.
were finishing
They
just.
may have, yeah, they may have not
Just-
got it at Saturday. If they're doing it on Saturday, it only went out on
I saw him
Friday.
Thursday. I talked to the contractor.
No, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is maybe they just figured that they could finish that stump, because you said finish what you're doing.
That's it. I said, finish what you're doing, which was right there, what he was doing. It was.
Were they out in front of the house or out behind the
Out
house?
behind the house.
Yeah, they were up behind the house. They might have been in the same spot. Again, I don't know what you said to them or what they were doing, but there was a big
I told them
stump.
to stop what they were doing that day.
Right, there was a big stump that was out of the
And you
ground.
can't do any more until you come before the board. And so that means he shouldn't have done anything said.
Well, you just said, you said to finish what you're doing. So
Well,
they
I
might have,
assumed,
they might have thought that they could finish that stump. I don't know. I didn't see what you saw. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but if they're actually just, you know,
But this-
throwing stuff up in our
Michael,
face.
if you tell a person to stop what they're doing, and then he said to you, can I finish what I'm doing, which was a step, then, okay, finish it. That doesn't mean
I understand
he
what,
comes back sad, he didn't stop that. I assume he finished up and then came back when nobody was around.
again, I didn't see what stump
I-
he was working on. I
true,
just
that
saw
is
a
true.
stump out of the ground.
Yeah, well,
So,
And
a
may I-
misinterpretation might have happened, but for some reason, if you've been down before, and you've been down, and they continued to work, I don't know what's going on now.
Well, he stopped. On Monday, he came in and told me they have stopped
well,
everything. They want
I
us to know
assume they got everything done they wanted. That's when they, that's what.
Well, actually, maybe not.
I understand what you're saying, Jerry.
Mike and I are on the same business.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, yeah.
I mean, they got everything done they wanted with Curtis, and that's it. So we're all done. I assume that's what they did.
Well,
I agree with
they're
you.
not totally finished because they put all the boulders on the bank of the river, on the bank of the pond.
Well,
I presume that's still there.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Now,
There's
so
a big,
let me
there's
ask
a
you
big
a
pile
question.
of brush there too, right? Is
I
that still
believe,
there?
I saw all the boulders that were moved. Let me ask you something, Dennis. You came in on Monday to speak, correct?
Yeah.
And what was explained to him on Monday?
I went through the enforcement order, and actually I'm going to add something to the enforcement order because I told him what you'd seen in the big construction vehicles that were outside his house, that we'd seen rocks being moved, and this is all within the buffer zone of the pond. And then I was particularly concerned about the fact that with the reports that he had gone ahead and done a pathway around the pond. And he has. He told me he has done that.
Now,
Yeah.
question, does anybody know how much property he owns? Because he is
Right
way
here.
over the other side
He
of
owns
the
a
pond.
lot of property.
Oh, he
He
does?
owns at least
I have it
3 or
right here.
4 lots. You have it here?
In that file, there should be an assessor's map on there too.
Okay, here.
Yeah. That-
Here's the power line.
And it
That's what
shows outlined
All right, so
what he owns.
The house is here,
Yeah.
here's the house, so the
power.
pond's
Holy
here.
mackerel.
right here.
Okay.
Okay, so everything he
So,
looks like
and
he's
he
doing
owns
over
on the-
here.
Here's the other end,
Here's the
too.
power lines right there.
No,
But-
yeah,
Right
but
away.
But-
he's cleared all the way around.
But is
to
he
there.
cleared on property over here, which is outside of this yellow?
No, he wouldn't go outside the yellow, but he's,
Isn't the pond over here?
No, the pond's right here. See this?
Oh, okay.
So this is the
All
pond.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
So, I mean, I explained to him what we've seen. I explained to him that normally you would have to go, even though it's his land, he would have to go before the Conservation Commission, where he is working within 100 yards of a pond.
mhm.
I also said that, in regard to the pond, we have, I certainly didn't want to be, awkward, but I was explaining to him that we have pretty severe winters, and to take away the vegetation there, we'll have issues with the trees that are all around the pond, and they literally go in on from our winters. So that's what our concern was. And he said that he spent $30,000 cleaning the pond, that he wants to actually dredge the pond and clean it further. So I think we have to find a little bit more about what he intends.
Could dredging the pond actually have a major impact, negative impact on the ecosystem within the pond?
Well, I would think so.
No, not
You don't
really,
think
because
so?
they
No.
try to keep,
I mean, maybe he's talking
Even
about the weeds. He's
even
talking
at
about the
Lakewood,
weeds.
Winnipesaukee,
Hmm.
they use chemicals and so forth to get rid of the lily pads, and
Mhm.
but it's become a problem.
Mhm.
So if he's using something that's been approved by whomever, I think he
Yeah.
should have told us. I
And
mean,
it's an
just,
issue
he's
in
if he's in the
Snow.
pond,
Right.
It's an issue named Snow, actually, about this. So, I mean, I would think that it would be an issue, but
I don't know where he's gonna put the water.
he hasn't actually
Put it on the
done
street.
that, though. At the moment, he's just done the land around the pond, and he's just doing the driveway in front of the house.
So the question is, does he understand the Conservation Commission's responsibilities in town? And does he understand what a notice of intent is and what a cease and desist is and the fact that he needs to?
He does now.
Okay.
He does now. Very nice gentleman who, he understood. He said that somebody from his church is actually doing the wetlands, and I suggested that person might want to have a look at the notice of intent, and he understands he has to come before us. As usual, I messed up with the dates. And Nancy, did you send a letter out with the new dates, or are we going to
Yes.
send that? Yeah. So she sent a letter out with the new
It's
dates.
on top of the folder.
All right. So she said, this is to clarify what has been requested enforcement order issued for 275 Chestnut Street. In order for the Commission to hold your notice of intent hearing on November 12th, our next meeting, it would need to be filed with the DEP and the Commission on October 30th, 2013. And I had written that the meeting was on November 8th, so it's really November 12th. And she explains the hearing process requires you to obtain a list of abutters from the assessor's office and an ad to appear in the newspaper. I'll prepare the ad when you submit your notice of intent. Copy of the ad must be sent to the abutters by certified receipt mail a week before the hearing date. 8 copies of your plan should be submitted with notice of intent to the Commission. A Town of Abington filing fee form is enclosed. So those are the steps that they have to go through. I mean, and the notice of intent costs a serious amount of money. So he understands that. He's going to go through that and come back to you. And he has stopped using his machinery. I was going to suggest I say the extent and type of activity. I say clearing of bank of nearby pond, excavation and placing of debris by bank of pond. But there's also the placing of heavy machinery in front of the house. Would that be right, or is that, do you think? You would not put that on it.
How about the removal of those trees?
The removal of those trees?
Didn't they remove a bunch of trees too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those-
tons of them.
Those are the photos that I took.
So
That was a few months ago.
It's been going on for a year.
No, they
We've been
probably-
complaining for a year, haven't we? We said that. Jim Dombrowski, my sister, everyone, we brought up that they've been doing this.
Yeah, we sent a letter. We dealt with this.
Well,
back in
that was
June.
what I said to him. I said, sir, he was going, I said, sir, you've been told 6 months ago that you can't do anything till you come before the board. Oh, yeah, well, we're making improvement on property. I says, doesn't make a difference. You're supposed to come before the board.
Yeah.
And I think I said it maybe once or twice. I
Yeah,
hope.
and I
know.
I mean, at least 3 of us have gone out from the Commission, and I actually wrote a letter, because I was trying to do the softly way. So I actually wrote a letter to him, and I spoke to him on the phone. Remember, that was back in June, and I did chat to
I
him.
used that, like you said, that's what I said
Yeah.
to him, to talk to you.
Now, I did tell you that the last conversation I had, which was in July, when I was saying I hadn't seen you at the Commission, he was a little bit upset about that and was saying that we were harassing him because he hadn't done anything. But of course, he seems to have done stuff.
He's done
Oh,
some
yeah.
extensive work.
Just
Yes.
the pile of brush that's there on the other side of the pond from the house will tell you he's done work the last time I went by.
I mean, we're talking large, boulders that have been moved right up against the waters.
We were trying to figure out how they were getting into the land because they had all those rocks flying out there.
Right. Well, he's going to be before you at the next meeting. We should have a notice of intent by then with the plans. If that doesn't happen, I'll present to you our other choices of what has to be done. But I'm hoping that it will actually happen.
Okay.
And then you just have to look at a project. But in this case, we might want to look at remediation.
I think we'll find that you'll give the project, just what I'm gonna do, and they're gonna say, oh, well, it's all done.
Yeah. I know. I'm going to pass the order to be signed. Actually, this is the file that goes with it.
Are you still on new business?
going to take a vote on that to ratify.
Okay, can I have a motion first to ratify my enforcement order?
I make a motion to ratify your enforcement order.
Thank you, Jerry.
Second.
Second. All those in favour?
Aye.
Maybe we can jump back and talk about our open meeting, open space update.
May I say,
Okay, do you want to do something?
I was at the highway department today, and I was talking to the assistant highway surveyor, Jackie Kane, and he asked me, it is all right for, he put some people in the river and brooks to clear them of brush, and they're not, there's no machinery, they're just gonna put on those, what, waders? And take brush out. Some that's fallen in, maybe he might have to cut some trees that are overhanging, and he wanted me to know if I could ask the board if he can move along on it.
Okay.
That's been ongoing for years, mainly for the streams and so forth behind. When I go down in my neighborhood, they did it for, what do you call it, where they have the, not right-of-ways, but the easements and so forth. Just, and they have drains between houses and so forth, culverts, right?
Just to keep.
And that's probably what they're clearing.
Yeah.
But they are doing some streams and rivers.
They can do vista pruning.
Yeah.
So as Ms. Powers says, vista pruning, I mean, it's that little section in our rules and the CMRs that allows them to go ahead and maintain it. But would the board be comfortable with me writing a note, Nancy and I'll try and get it done today, write a note just saying yes, that go ahead.
I'd like to see something from the highway department stating which ones they're gonna do, and, you know, instead of just, I mean, are they gonna do every one of them in the town?
No, he has certain ones. I don't
Well, a
think,
lot of us maintain our own.
They follow, I actually know, because it's quite
there's
close where I
a
live,
situation.
There's one right behind.
I don't mind them doing it, I
properties.
just like to know which ones they're
Well,
gonna
and
be
I just
doing,
had to
and
put
where they're
more
gonna
work
be
on
doing.
them. I mean, I can go ask him to do, just,
They follow the,
Yeah.
I think they follow the, you know, the pond, what is it, Beaver Brook?
Yeah.
And they followed all the way down.
back.
They
That's
actually-
that's what he's,
Right.
Where
I'm pretty sure
where I
that's what
live,
he's
they
doing.
do it like
Because they're
that.
gonna put waders on it
Yeah.
and get the brushes. We have a place that some big tree has fallen and we gotta get it out, so.
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah.
But he asked me to ask you guys, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't mind that, it's just that we should know where they're doing the work also too.
Well, I'll go down and ask him, give me a list.
I mean, if he can, and I don't know if he's gonna pull, does he have a secretary now? I know they might have cut back the secretary's hours.
No,
Not only
she's
that,
there,
but,
no, only Ken
Yeah,
moving on.
Kennon's leaving too, so.
But Jackie's in charge, and he asked,
I mean, we can give him permission to do it, and then, I don't know if he wants to try and file something, just say.
that's why he asked me to.
It's been ongoing for years though.
I've been doing it for years. I used to do it with my
Yeah.
father's bulldozer.
For instance, down where I live off of Loganberry, there's culverts in swales for easements, for sewer easements, and they go through there once every 2 or 3 years and just clear it out, so that nothing, because
Doesn't dam up.
stuff gets in there, kids' toys and so forth, stuff just goes down, but
Rugs.
it's the same, it's the same projects.
Ongoing all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you wanna just have something on file, I'm sure they'll do that, but there's probably so many of them, they'll probably even forget, but I don't have a problem, it's just, it's gonna take them a while to do something like that, and you hate to hold them up from their work, because.
No,
we're just
he
gonna-
can definitely do the work, it's just the paperwork after, just to say that, you know what, he probably keeps a file on this stuff every day.
Yeah, I wonder if we
Did-
just have it
went down-
mapped out at
Yeah,
least the
yeah,
way
he-
these
I'm
are.
sure-
Went down, you know,
Yeah.
Linwood Street and did this culvert and cleaned out this and that, and stuff like that, so. I mean, at least if we knew where they would be working, if one of us will drive by, that would go over and look at it and go, wow, this looks great,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Highway department's doing a great job, they cleaned out all this stuff and so forth and so on.
Okay, I can put that in my letter to them. Can we move on, gentlemen, to the open space update with Mr. Watson? Mr. Watson, you're on.
Thanks, thank you, Lee.
Thank you very much. Thank you for waiting all this time.
Oh, it's fine. We have a sort of large task because the board said last time the next thing would be to set priorities among the various recommendations in the 7-year action plan. And there are 29 recommendations, so I'm wondering, you might want to just choose the top 10. I mean, it's up to you, but what we have is a copy of the 7-year action plan with all the recommendations numbered, and then I made a chart, a scoreboard, and the idea would be that a given person, Mr. Bergen, if he felt that item 3 was the best one of all, would just code it with, just give it a number 1. And the idea is that as you do that, you can add all the way across. And if certain items get a lot of low number scores, meaning high ranking, then that's the result. But if I can interrupt myself for a second, remember last time we had questions, comments from the audience, some discussion. So I inserted that in the section on purposes and procedures. And I don't know what's the best sequence, but I think it'd be great if the board could just look through those and see if I forgot anything important. It's the second page.
Maybe I could read it out. Do you have a spare one of those, or it's just...
Sure. No, I made 9 or 10. All right. Just the second page on the right. Anybody?
The ones with the bullets?
Yeah. I was going by my notes, which I couldn't quite read, and by my memory of people's comments.
Does this plan have the various projects that we were talking about on? Are they all on this plan here?
Not everything is
Not everything.
That's sort of generalized.
Okay. So, would it work if I actually read the residents' comments first and see if anybody has any other comments on it?
Sure. I just don't want to either misstate something that somebody felt strongly about, or totally forget something that came up. I talked to Bruce a little bit, but not to the woman who was there, and not to Jim.
I think she was just watching. I think she was there just to watch.
Well, I think she nodded at one point, so I took that as a strong statement.
Yeah.
Just trying to get as many statements out of there.
Okay, and this is an important part of the plan. We have to have a public hearing and public comments included in our plan. So residents' comments included strong support for maximum agricultural reuse of Griffin's dairyland, including use for grazing by young cattle from a Hingham-based dairy operation on agricultural preservation restriction land in Norwell. I mean, strong support. There were 3 people there, and 1 person brought this up. But skepticism about recommendations for camping and swimming in Ames Knoll State Park.
You see, I couldn't remember Maureen's comment whether she was saying that she would prefer a really formal campground, or she didn't want a formal campground, but knew that some people might just come in on their own. So I wasn't sure which way to take that.
Okay. Enthusiasm for maintaining a natural habitat area along Beaverbrook, and possibly including footbridges allowing hiking on both the Brockton side above and below Diane's Circle. That's what that lady was talking about, actually. And on the west side in Brockton's Beaverbrook Reservation. Strong support for completion of the Abington portion of the Hanover Branch bicycle trail. Support for selective cutting or trimming of trees and brush to open up scenic vistas. Support for ongoing efforts to repair and restore the Island Grove Park Bridge and the Royal Arch. Scepticism about neighbours' acceptance of a short pedestrian bicycle connection between the Hancock Street area and a nearby civic complex. I actually did chat to somebody who thought that was a good idea.
I mean, it's such a tiny distance, you know, if you look at that. And yet, well, this is to my help, but you can't do it now, I guess, without essentially trespassing.
Right. Well, increased recreation use of filled-in level former sewer beds. Participant generally accepted the open space and recreation goals and the action plan, but needed more time to review the proposed actions. Subsequently, the Commission scheduled an October 22nd, 2013 session to set the priorities among the 29 proposed actions. So that's the summary that Mr. Watson has of the public meeting. Does anybody want to add to that?
I'm sure I missed somebody's comments, and I might have misheard some. So, or if you have any comments that didn't come up that you want added.
I think we're okay. Can we move on to the actual thing? So I don't have it in front of me. I see Joe has the page that has the list of the things. Does everybody have a list of the actual recommendations?
No,
Keep sharing
I
it.
have them. And Nancy, were there any comments in the minutes beyond these?
I don't think so, I didn't get the chance.
No.
Oh, okay, you have the, yeah, I've got a 7-year plan here.
What's
So
it? That's the one.
here's one for everybody.
That's it. And everybody seems to be looking at that. Yeah.
Good.
If anybody's lacking one? Oh, no, so see this one, please check this, I've given them all numbers. See how there's a number, so please.
Oh, there's a
take-
number on your one?
Yeah, otherwise it's sort of,
Numbers on the
yeah.
Okay.
On the far left, it says 1 ongoing, 2 ongoing, 3 ongoing. Yeah, see, the 1, 2, 3, 4 are the numbers. And
Oh, I see.
they're the ones to be used on the summary table.
Oh, sorry, this is the one. We're talking about these.
Oh,
Okay.
and then here's the table. What I'm thinking is that if you each could mark your own preferences down, then we could take them and put them all on one sheet and play with them. So I'll give you.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, I wanted to just pass through 3 more. Thanks. It's a little bit intimidating because there's so many.
Very well. And just,
Yeah, and so I'm wondering, I'm happy to do whatever you prefer, but if you'd rather come up with your top 10 preferences and let the rest go, it'd be quicker, but if you have a feeling about all of them, then it's important to show it. And for that matter, depending on the chairman, I guess, if you wanted to treat this as a homework assignment for next time, because
Yeah.
you might want to sit down and
Makes sense.
give yourself some time.
yes.
Yeah, because I just kind of did it in the first half hour that I was here. And I put priority low, medium, and high on some of the stuff.
Okay.
You know.
So we do that? Do you want to do that? Use the form and go through it? Yeah, which you want to do?
Nothing wrong with low, medium, and high, except that I thought you might be
Well,
trying to
numbers
make-
of 1, 2, and 3 is going to be the same thing. Number 1's going to be the highest priority that we'd state to it.
But if there are 10 things and you have a strong preference, and one of them's the least important.
You want
Right.
to prioritize also.
Yeah.
I mean, the format allows you to make more distinctions.
Right.
I mean,
And maybe
I have
contrive.
10 things that are in high already, so I could just put them right in there, but I didn't prioritize whatever the high ones were going to be. You know, which ones we'd work on.
So it's 1 to 3, 3 being the lowest, 1 being the
Yes.
highest.
And just to let everybody know, my feeling was that anything that came up with land acquisitions, that we'd have to purchase lands, I put down as low, because
Right.
I just figured there's no way the town's gonna to buy anything. And then the high ones would be anything that could be done with the least amount of money, or no money whatsoever,
Right.
that we could get through now.
Yeah, that's one approach. I was thinking more like the desirable, and then the money comes later, when you pass CPA eventually, if you do, et cetera.
That
But you don't.
might be way past 2018 now, so.
Might be with the
Yeah.
ice caps he's
At least to
melting.
get some things launched.
Yeah, that was my feeling too, is that we were really trying to get things done now.
Well, then if
Just
it's
so we
up to
can
you.
knock
yeah.
off some stuff.
If you want to go through and each one, just give it a 1, 2, or 3.
What's number 7? Identify, rank, and schedule achievable acquisitions and improvements.
Achievable, that's sort of like we're calling number 1.
Right.
I mean, things that,
I think that would be like a goal of the board.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. Oh, okay. So you put 1 correct
well, if you don't want to try to, make, I mean, I sort of agree. It gets a little contrived when you say, this is a 7 or an 8. Is it, what do you know?
Right.
But I'd like to get one common set of responses.
I still have a number 8,
Right.
where is that jurisdiction over a state park?
I think we don't have jurisdiction over State Park, do we?
Right, that should be, that is,
Yeah, that's why DCR is responsible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
basically, what we'd be doing is trying to talk with DCR about
Pose it maybe.
Yeah.
proposing some kind of funding through them, or getting them to come out and clean the place up, or?
Right.
Well, we actually, do we
But
own
that-
some
that-
land within Ames now? I think we own some, you know those islands that
I
are
think
in
we
the
do.
pond?
I think we
Well,
own
the
that.
island in the pond,
Yeah,
In Ames Knoll,
I think we do.
yeah.
We own
I'd
like
forgotten that.
that's right. So
20
we actually
square.
do our,
20 square feet of,
you guys are in charge of that, you're maintaining that, keeping an eye on that.
Where the,
In Ames Knoll, you know the pond,
The
the
pond.
little islands in the pond? That's
Right.
actually town land.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
it's conservation land, it's
Well, it was
conservation
always-
commission land.
Yeah, you're right.
the town when I grew up, and the state came in and did the recreation area.
You know number 11 said add new bathhouse and swim docks at Island Grove Park. That was done, wasn't it? That was done.
The docks are.
I thought
they
had
have
a
new docks,
bathhouse.
they have a revamped bathhouse from, what was it,
Wouldn't
like
that be the park and rec department?
Yeah, but that was
11.
actually done.
No, that's why,
Yes.
that's why I had recreation.
Yeah, that was actually done. They did do that about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, RC is Recreation Commission. I mean, this far right column is trying to recognize anybody that might have an interest.
Right.
Some with responsibility, some with, you know, maybe right to speak. So whichever way you want to do it, if you want to go just by, make them all a 1, 2, or 3.
Well, we're doing what you, but at least I'm going through it. Are you guys?
Yeah.
We're going through it now.
Okay. Well, then if you mark them on your score sheet that you do.
What's number 13, standard use of LID principles?
Low impact development. Using a maximum of so-called BMPs, grass swales, retention basins, porous pavement, rain gardens, all the methods to cut down runoff.
Okay.
And they call it low impact design. I should have spelled it out. Oh yeah, actually, the middle blocks did spell it out. And the planning board has a lot to say about it because they can put the requirements in the rules and regulations, but you have a lot to say when you're setting conditions on a project.
The number 16 has reuse of Griffin's dairy land. And it says complete reuse planning for the farm in conjunction with the adjacent. But that's just simply saying we should use that. That should be one of the areas that we should look at. Or are we?
Didn't the selectmen just put a board together or a committee together to look at that again?
did they reactivate Griffin's Dairy Committee again?
They are taking down, one selectman told me.
Well, they're
the other night-
they're taking the barn down.
Yeah,
That's number one, but don't they have a committee to explore the, yes?
they had one.
Yeah.
They had, because they came up before, at some meeting I was at, they came before us. But I don't know if it's still going. I think it is still going.
It is.
It is.
That's why I indicated, you know, the selectmen, yourselves, the planning board, and the recreation commission would all probably have an interest. Because when we did a study some time ago and sort of recommended a little bit of everything. It wasn't very decisive, really, thinking of the different possibilities that the land had. And you know, Jim Dombrowski was just saying, well, it's all sort of in limbo. There's a need to make some decisions. And if they reactivated the committee planning it, I guess maybe that's a step towards that. Don't know.
On number 24, did you have to go through anybody's private property?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
This is the land behind the library building. Yeah.
The athletic area, you know, on the other side.
What's the distance that they're trying to do on that or not?
Access from Hancock Street to Riley Field, I think, you know.
Well,
we're-
Broad Meadow Lane.
About the kids already walked through there or something.
See, kids can go anywhere up to a certain age. Adults feel a little awkward
Right,
cutting through yards and going to fences.
I presume some kids that do it to get to school.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, to me, it's very strange not to have a real connection there with the whole neighborhood on one
Yeah,
side.
I think it was mentioned at some meeting the other, and that never went forward. Because it would have been a good thing for the Years ago, they talked about, remember? How
Well,
many years ago was that?
They had.
They were talking about getting Hancock for us, for school,
Mhm.
the kids.
Right.
In terms of safe
Someone
routes to
someone in the
schools,
last meeting said that they brought it up and the room was full of non-supporters from there.
people always seem to worry about somebody going near them, and yet they would end up using it probably, you know, a lot.
Well, I don't know, guys. I've got a lot of ones here.
So you aren't going for the many degrees of ranking, you're just going for 1, 2, 3s?
1, 2, 3. Is that right?
Sure, sure.
I mean, I
Well,
think
Susan
number.
says this, don't even,
I think, I mean, a lot of them are very general about informing the public about the issues of water and all that stuff. But number 18 is, I thought, a definitely can-do project. That's the one with the bike trail.
Right.
can't reach Hancock Street. They can't.
And that's something that would really help with safe routes, to give kids an option that doesn't require being driven the long way
Yeah.
around or taking
Down.
the bus.
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot
one
of
thought is
Down,
to get-
I'm pretty happy with that.
Hendricks.
And one thought is to get a
They
bike
wanted to extend
townwide system on paper that
Buy that.
developers
That's all
coincide
involved.
with.
And
Yeah.
they're gonna
So you
develop that,
gradually
that's
get-
all been
That was for the
cleared.
school.
That's wonderful how you link,
No,
try and
somebody's
link
gonna
the
develop it,
places.
and they lost the storage. That's all been cleared, the roads have been marked out.
Oh, yeah, behind Hendricks's?
Yeah, behind Henderson's.
Oh, yeah?
You can't get to Hancock Street from Woods, is that supposed to be Woodsteel on number 29?
Yeah? Did they spell it wrong?
It says Westdale.
You
I'm
can't-
sorry.
you-
Well, there was a school site years ago that, up there, that they were gonna get Hendricks's Dairy and put a school in there years ago, just like they were gonna do Brockton Avenue and other towns.
That's land next,
Years ago.
behind and beside the school site now, it's like
Yeah.
an L shape with
Yeah.
two holdings. One of the holdings, the only spot that was actually almost into the park.
Mr. and Mrs. Powers, since you're our public tonight, do you have any comments on this?
Well, Perkins Dairy really owned, and we ought to pursue as much as we could to go ahead with that.
It's the, it was the main area for open space. I say was because if the things that happen with the base go ahead and the town suddenly finds itself in charge of the various, the various sections of the base, the various towns do, then we might be actually involved in looking after the wetlands at the Naval Air Base, which would be, after Ames Knoll, would be the second biggest open space area for us. With Griffin's Dairy Barn, it would be, one of the two biggest ones. Well, I suppose Beaverbrook is also a big area.
And what's amazing is the Beaverbrook Reservation in the Brockton site is much bigger than you might realize.
Is it?
It's almost comparable to the park, almost.
Wow.
It's a big square park and there's a long strip, it's a pretty wide strip. That's why I think being able to go back and forth so people could enjoy it on both sides.
Yeah. But like you were saying, Ms. Paris, they have a supermarket garden there at the moment. They were talking about, the selectmen are going ahead, I think to the tune of, is it 300,000 or something, going to demolish the buildings that are there. They're going to take down the empty buildings, the houses. They'll presumably come before us
Where's that?
in Griffin's Dairy Barn.
Hendrickson's?
No.
Griffins.
No.
Griffins, the other night,
Yeah.
the selectmen, they were talking about it,
Yeah.
something like that,
They're
yeah.
going ahead and doing it. Going to do it in the winter time too.
Because it's in their hand, isn't it?
They're gonna
It's
take
the Christie
It
land.
is.
everything.
It's
not
actually
just the
town,
barn.
it is their land.
Just the ban on everything.
The
I
house.
think everything,
I think the house too.
yeah.
Yeah, but it has to be, because didn't they have an estimate from something?
Yeah,
For what?
taking down the building,
There,
the
the
house
barn?
and the
Yeah.
barn, yeah.
It was at the selectmen's meeting last night, they had
Yeah.
two proposals. And what was not in the proposal was if there's any asbestos or in that, so the town manager's working on the proposal to tear it down, question mark, if there's gonna be any additional,
Could be extra.
because of hazardous asbestos, et cetera. And then they also gonna look at it to see if anybody wanted to come in and take it down for the post and beam, which some people do, but that'll hold it up and, there's they just wanna get rid of it now, it's just becoming a hazard.
Yeah,
So, as far as the post and beam, what's left of it that's any good, probably get it on the ground, let people pick through it.
There are people that will dismantle a building and put it up elsewhere.
But the town's under a time restraint, they want to get it done.
Uh-huh.
Isn't the
Right.
building starting to implode on or something?
Yeah. That's
Or maybe
what I
if you just
understand.
advertise it, yeah.
So, I think it's just gonna be between a couple of bidders and get rid of it.
And they'll probably make a lot, I mean, they'll have some valuable timber if it's all notched and cut.
Yeah.
It's not though.
Oh,
It's not, the bond's very kinda
Did you want me?
haphazardly put up.
Did you want us to do it all in one form tonight? Do you want us to?
yeah, well, if each person would do the 1, 2, 3, going down through the list, that'd be great.
Okay.
And are you all happy with just breaking it into 3 levels of importance?
Yeah, that seems fun, yeah.
Yeah, I was,
I mean, even, I would really wouldn't prioritize because I've got 10 number ones on there, you don't have to we're not prioritizing.
okay,
It's just, it would be a block of what we think,
Yeah.
what I think, would if you get it
Okay.
as number one.
so if the rest can do that,
Because Dennis can do it all in the same form.
Why did I volunteer to do this? You know I can't.
I'd like to do something different. I'd like to maybe just have one person, yourself, come up with
Yeah.
your 10 things, and we'll just kind of look at those. I'll come up with maybe 15 in order, and then we'll just put them in order. What's that?
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah,
you
but
mean-
these, but I'm just saying, like, for instance, things that we can do. I was just looking at increased conservation holdings.
Yeah,
That to me, that to me is something that can be done, so maybe that's a priority.
That one right there is different from the, because if you look over the next, the next column, it says have other people or whatever it is, transfer the holdings over. So it'd be like, say, Park and Recreation has like some holding which is way out of, then they don't even use it. They just transfer that land into the Conservation Commission's purview.
Yeah.
So it takes it out of their hands.
actually, there was a list.
But who, do we have to fund maintaining it if there's anything that has to be maintained? That would be my question, and we have no funds.
Right.
We don't have any
And
plans.
that-
So as far as, it sounds good
Right.
for us to take it over, but then what do we do with it?
Yeah, then you go to town meeting for an operating budget.
Yeah, that's what, I think
And
that.
I think we'd be so far down in this
I
town for
think
any
that,
kind of money.
right, I think our next step.
They're trying to give raises to people, you know?
Well, there's so many
But
holdings.
some of it's wetlands, substantial habitat.
Well,
So
Right.
you don't have to take care of it.
Right, you don't really have to take care of it. I think, same thing too, is it's just exactly what you're saying. If we can get these prioritized and then
Yes.
the open space plan gets through, and then we attack the other situation,
Right.
whereas, I mean, there's money that goes for each and every one of these notice of intents, and the money goes somewhere.
Good point.
I mean, that would be monies that we could use for, if we had to maintain a piece of property, or if we had to
But we don't have any
hire
help.
consultants.
I know anything that has to be maintained, I suggest we just leave it with the park
Park and
and
Rec
rec
or
or
the highway department.
yes, whoever it might be,
yeah.
because
Most of
they don't
the,
need another boss.
no, most of the land though, I think too, that gets maintained is in the school system. All the fields are all in the school system, so,
Well, what's
Well, they used to maintain the streams, but now that's become the homeowners now have to take that.
right.
That was put on the law last year.
And it sounds like the highway department's doing that for us now
Yeah.
anyway.
It
But
used to
what-
be, that's why we had to leave the 2 gates so that the highway department could get through if they had to clean anything out of the stream.
What struck me was looking at the map of holdings and to realize, well, Southfield is Southfield, but to realize that the Kirsty land, on the top right there, is in the hands of the selectmen. Is not, it's treated as permanent, quote, conservation land, but it's not really under your jurisdiction. The Griffin Farm, of course, is under the selectmen. There are a bunch of pieces which logically, for getting resources, would come under your jurisdiction. So that at the back here, there's a list of recommended, or many points where we describe certain settings where we recommend transfer to the commission. Of course, that has to be practical. But if you notice when you go through the recommendations in the plan itself, a lot of the parcels, like Kirsty's, we said recommend transfer to the body that normally would have it. And then you might have a real problem with no operating money, but then again, it might make the point that you need some.
Right.
And I was on our commission, my commission for a while, and we had a certain amount a year not for acquisitions, just for maintenance and stuff we had to do. And it wasn't very much, but it was hard to, once it was passed, it would get repeated.
Well, actually, if I may add, we're not actually inventing the wheel here.
No.
Because in practical terms, even though, say, a dairy farm or a Griffin's Dairy farm is in the town rather than Conservation Commission's holdings, still for any work to be done, they have to come before you. And any of the maintenance that's done is done by the poor guys in the highway department, or, you know, I call it DPW, it's not DPW, it's the highway department and all. They go out and do it in practical terms now anyway. So, I mean, that's how the town has survived. It is orderly, to put it, I suppose, in the commission, but in practice, it has done pretty well. I was wondering if I could suggest then, if we could use Mr. Noonan's suggestion and Mr. Feeney's, and maybe ask Mr. Feeney what he hit for number 1, and see if we agree with that. Do you think that would help?
Sure.
Yeah,
And,
that's-
and that was kind of short-sighted. Is that what you meant, Mr. Noonan?
Yes, exactly. But just,
So what did you have for number 1? You know, what did you mark 1 for?
Number 1 was I'd marked as 3, lowest priority.
Oh, that was your lowest priority?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so what's number 3, your highest? Let's ask him what his highest priority is, and then see if we agree with that.
Okay,
So-
highest priority would be number 4.
I have that also.
Okay.
That's something I think that can be accomplished.
Increased
Right.
conservation holdings.
Number 5, I put down as number 1 also too.
Okay. I did that too, yeah.
Number 10.
Was one or was what?
That was the number 1. Number 10 was the number 1, because I figured the state acquisition, I mean, we can get money from the state to put signs up. Hey, that'd be great. Number 17 is the number 1, which is approved access to Walnut Street Conservation Area. Number 21 and 22.
Like that,
These are the things you think we should do, right?
Should do,
Yeah.
that we could concentrate on and get done relatively, not quickly, but I think we would get least resistance and also maximum exposure and,
Because actually, wasn't there a town vote to acquire Porecki's farm for $1 million? I mean, there's been some major support. It didn't work out, but
right,
we
but
had the vote.
yeah, just like you said, it didn't work out, it's all kind of mired and,
At one point, he was suing his lawyer.
Isn't 22 underway, or didn't they have a garden thing?
they do, but I mean, if they could expand upon it in other areas of the town.
Oh,
I mean, if we have other areas in the town that are just laying fallow and they're not doing anything, why not?
oh, yeah, okay.
At one end, it's community gardens, which are no bigger than this room. At the other end, it could be somebody actually doing some commercial trucking, farming, on a bigger chunk. I have nothing in mind in particular, but nowadays there seems to be a lot of interest in almost mini farms, but farms, 5 acres, 10 acres, you know, that go to all the farmers markets. It's like another economy.
And then 24 through 27 is all number 1s. Improve access to Riley Field, but like you were saying, if this has to go through somebody's backyard, I think it's not gonna work.
Well, you have to get an easement.
That's not
Something
gonna
like
work.
that can be
Yeah,
acted
sure.
upon right away, because if you look and you have to go through somebody's backyard.
Then it's not gonna work.
Right,
If you can buy an easement along the edge of the property, and
well,
Yeah,
then you have to,
That's a big, if you're gonna try and get an easement, that's a big deal. It's gotta go through attorneys and,
right.
or they can charge the kids a toll, what's the a quarter to go to school.
yeah, so I leave that as like a caveat. 24 would be, if there's no,
Well, it's almost something you can put on the list and take
Yeah.
off right away, because you can find out,
if there's even access there for
right,
it.
if it's, anything that's feasible, I think is what we should be looking at for the
Yeah.
first 10.
So is the consensus that those are the ones?
Yes, 25 would be maintaining and informing the public. We could do that through, you know.
They almost
kind of
do that.
Yeah, they almost do that. The water department does it every once in a
The
while.
water
We'll do
department will
test.
send out things, sometimes they'll come around and collect water. I happen to live at the end of a street, and they'll collect water to see if there's any sediment in it, in the,
Oh, they open the pipe, open the hydrant.
And then the other two would be 26 and 27. I mean, if we look into the trail systems,
Because there are fragments of it.
What happened to the ones that come up with Rockland? Is that?
that's not on here, so we should put that on there.
Well, what about
That's
18?
something I think we,
The rail
because
trail.
everybody seemed to
The rail
really.
trail's here.
What about
Is it?
18, number 18? That's the Rockland one, I
Is
think.
that one? I must have skipped it.
Maybe. Yeah.
18 I have a, what do I have 18
It's a rail trail, isn't it? It's a mistake because we recommended it.
to? Townwide bike
Well, it's
system.
townwide bike system, so it doesn't actually lay out.
No, I didn't,
It
I
doesn't
didn't,
actually state here,
No,
that one,
it doesn't.
in Rockland.
Yeah.
Another one that you
Park
wanted?
trail system,
It's
does that
only
have
one
park
of-
trail system?
So I think we want to add the park trail system.
yeah, we want to add the rail trail between Abington and Rockland.
Yes.
Some are saying it's only about a 20-foot section that just needs to be cleaned.
No, what's funny is that it's on the map there, see the arrow
Yeah.
saying complete Abington portion of Hanover Rail Trail.
Bike trail,
I
yeah.
don't know how we left it off.
So that'll be number 30 on the list that we
Yep.
have.
Thanks.
Rail trail between Rockland and Abington. Excellent.
So are we in favor of 18 in conjunction with this new 30 that we've created?
I would be in favour of it. It's just a
Yeah.
very general thing that says there should be rail trail.
In a lot of reports,
That one, the only reason why I put it down as 2 is that, to try and do a bike path system throughout the, not throughout the town, but in a couple of different areas, yeah, they'd have to, that's something you'd have to look at the highway department for and say, how wide are the roads? Can we put like a 4-foot section on the bank, which you'd have like a bike trail with the little bikes going down, and how much is it gonna cost to line the roads to do that?
already have cross-country routes that are possible that
Right.
haven't been tried.
So that would cost some money, and I just don't know how,
Yeah.
to line all the streets, I don't know how much that would
But
be.
I think if we put down number 30 or something that's feasible,
30 is definitely feasible.
that's why I put that down instead of 18.
That might be the
Yeah.
reference to 18.
Right.
Get
Right.
that done.
Yes,
One thing we recommended,
right, exactly.
The easiest one, it's got rid of them.
What about number 9, which is improved recreation opportunities at schools? And the reason I raised that is because there's a building committee at the moment, right, talking about constructing a building. I think they're talking about doing it beside the highway, the high school at the moment. But if they are, that's on soccer fields, they're going to take away. So that would be, at the moment, the children have the soccer fields here, they have the baseball pitches over by, was it behind Brockton Ave, whatever it is, Laidlaw, whatever it's called, and they have Frolio. They also have one up by, I know beside, is it Chestnut Street, where the Cub Scout house is. They have a baseball field there.
Laidlaw Field, yeah.
These are all school properties though, aren't they?
Yep, they're all school properties.
So we'd have to go through the school committee to,
Well, it's just, I mean, he actually has written to people that are involved in that, and that would be the schools that would be involved in that. What's HCC?
Conservation Commission, Recreation Commission,
Oh,
Planning
it
Board.
is.
Yeah, I should have had schools, I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, so,
because I know the schools have, and at North School, they actually took down and got rid of all the swings, the slide that was there and everything else.
Are you talking about the Little League
So-
fields?
but the Little League fields, yeah. and all
Oh,
that
yeah,
stuff.
but they're, Abington Little League maintains those out of their own budget.
Yeah,
And they have permission from the school department because they don't have any budget to do it. Because I happen to maintain those for them for years. And now, another landscaper in town, his kid's involved with it, and he's on the board, he's taken over. So they have the school department really has nothing to do with those. It's the Abington Little League that pays for it, and they put the infield mix down, and the park department, the highway department mows them.
Yeah, even the Scout House, you know, I call it the Scout House, there's a house on Chestnut Street, but, and it's the Cub Scouts use it, but the Cub Scouts, it's owned by the school, and I think at one stage school,
Yeah, they just replaced that field down there, and they replaced the one by the depot, that they put a new
oh,
sod
I
and
forgot
so
about that
forth.
one.
Yeah.
I forgot
And
about that one.
I still happen to help out with the one behind the dentist there on, is that Washington Street?
Yeah, that's center
Yeah,
school.
Centre School, it's a
Mhm.
great one. So this is just a general thing saying improve recreation opportunities at schools. I don't know if you think that that is a good thing to put in.
I think in the report, some discussion of sites gets more specific, like, is it Laidlaw? How do you say it? The one across from Westdale School? Woodsdale School.
Later.
Later field.
Yeah.
Right.
And 5 years ago, I think, in an earlier document, we said, how about putting in a exercise circuit for adults, and maybe a few tables and chairs, where people could sit and play cards or talk while the kids played. And it just seems funny that you go back there, and if you're an adult, you just sort of stand around.
Mhm.
And I kept thinking,
We've all done that.
an exercise circle or something.
Well, there used to be some swings there and some other play equipment.
Yeah.
I think that,
Well, there's
I'm not
there's a
sure if
new-
it belonged to the Cub Scouts that have that small little building there, or if it belonged to the
Get ready
town.
to
No,
buy new
the Cub
slides
Scouts
for
is-
down there.
They just have the
The slides
building.
are all broke.
Slides are all there.
But same thing, to your point, I think instead of taking
General-
playground stuff out,
Yeah,
they should either be, it should either be maintained. If they can't maintain it, then if they wanted to transfer that portion of land over to the Conservation Commission, I mean, that would be part of, under our purview.
yeah.
And say, of
course,
see,
we
we
don't
still
really
still
want to
can't
give it-
maintain it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the reality that Mr. Watson is talking about, like Mr. Noonan talked about, that, there are groups that are looking after these lands at the moment
Mhm.
very well. I was going to say the Scouts, actually, although they don't own the building, the school owns the building, they actually maintain the building and look after it.
Right.
The baseball guys look after the fields, beautiful
Just
fields.
for instance, they let the one down on Green Street go because it was just too hard to maintain. And that has a great place for the kids to go and play on swings and so forth. But the baseball field is, the Little League field is now, I think, all grown in, last I knew, unless they corrected it.
It just makes Abington a nicer town, I think, to have all these facilities. But you're right, somebody has to look after them.
Right.
And we, of course, we rely on the poor guys in the highway department.
Right,
And
right.
most conservation commissions do that.
Yeah, most towns have it. And what I was
They don't
thinking,
have, even if we had a conservation agent, he wouldn't be out there mowing the lawn.
No.
we're talking about later, is new equipment for children, but nothing for adults, and yet adults often go to a playground, to be around
Right.
with little kids.
Well,
And we
don't-
kept thinking, couldn't you do something that the adults would find?
Yeah, maybe I would Dunkin' Donuts and.
Yeah.
I'm really joking. Okay, do we think we have enough
Or,
to be
yeah,
going
yeah.
on with? Yeah.
I think if we have more than 10, we have too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I definitely think that the Joe's trail, connected to Rockland, is a definite possibility.
Yeah.
That we can, and I'm hoping that this plan is we're going to be able to look for monies then to
Hope so,
do this.
right.
You know.
What we've recommended in some places is a town-wide system connecting new development to future development. Like the old idea of an official map that would be binding on a developer, so that if you're putting in a cul-de-sac, your rules and regulations often call for an easement to the end of the property for utilities. And sometimes, in many towns, they say an easement for access to the land, but then nothing ever happens because the developer is developing up to the edge of his property.
Right.
And that's that. And the idea is that if you could somehow nudge it so that the future one had to coincide with the present one, you'd gradually get a network that was off-road, so you wouldn't be going out to a main street and back again to go to your friend's house. Anyway, the other thing I was thinking was cases where there's a real conflict about use of land, like that piece by Groveland Street that was for a future school. But if somebody chooses a use for Griffin Dairy or the Crystal land that's wildly out of sync with what you have in mind, you're sort of stuck because you don't own it. Maybe there aren't those potential conflicts, but if it's in your hands, it's permanently protected. If it's general town resource, it might well become a fire station, might not, but it's, there might be advantages to having the alternatives, but it isn't as secure. And that's why in the report we talk a lot about a common recommendation is transfer of some of these things to the commission, not thinking about your own budget, just thinking about you're being more protective.
Well, the other thing is transfer of private land to the town and conservation. And it's in the interest of landowners to do that, where they get a tax rebate on it. And that's why I remember when I was first on this commission, I went to the assessor to get the land that was in that particular bracket to look and see what they were looking at was agricultural land at the moment, and they might well move on. If the people don't want to use it, they might well donate it to the town. And that's always, I think, the Massachusetts Conservation Commissions, the association of it, they're always talking about that. And that, you know, I mean, poor Abington. It's more likely that we're going to get land donated to us than we're going to be able to buy land.
Right.
And the people get, they get the tax benefit of the
Yes,
purported value of it.
that's right.
Here's something that really struck me. This is the Walnut Street Canal Brook Conservation Area. And this is from the last plan. I just copied it because I took this picture about 6 years ago. Power line right-of-way gate blocking access to an unapproved trail in the unsigned Walnut Street Brook Conservation Area. So how are people supposed to know? Unsigned, blocked off. Anyway, I'm not making fun. I'm just saying it's my own town has similar things. If you don't know it's your own land, you don't know it.
Yeah, no, that's in specifically to one of your topics, if we can get the state to give us, some money for signage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Put signage up right there,
makes a big difference.
you know?
You don't feel that maybe you shouldn't be in there.
Make the gates smaller and have a smaller access port for somebody to go through
Just enough, yeah.
for a bike or something else to go through for that trail.
Well, Mr. Watson, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guiding us through this process.
Somebody would appreciate enough to call me Jim and not Mr.
Jim,
Watson.
yes, Jim.
It takes less time too.
That's right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, what about our 2s and 3s?
2s and 3. I think the commissioners just wanted the top points. That's what they're looking for. Is that right?
Do you need recommendations on all of these for your report, or do you just need the top priority of the top 10?
I think it'd be useful to have a break it into 3 levels of importance. It's up to yourselves.
Well, can we agree that the remaining items that are listed there are of secondary importance to us?
Right,
Yes.
Okay, so you've identified your highest priority.
yes.
Yeah.
And the others, the only priority is sort of whatever's implied in the recommendation. Because in the text it might say, very important link, and which would imply maybe a 2. Okay, then we'll just list the ones
That's
as your
terrific.
highest.
That's terrific.
I just did this thinking that if you felt
No,
strongly
that's good. That was
about
a good way of it. Well, we did
all of
use
them,
it. We did use it
you know,
in the end.
then you could add across and the low scores would be the highest rank. Okay.
I think we'd like to do them all. It just, within the next 4 to 5 years, I don't think we'll get to all of them.
How close does the town come?
Unless-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Unless the town comes into an inheritance of all kinds of money.
How close do they come
Well,
to?
one of us six was super thick.
There you go.
I know.
What
I know.
did you say?
One of us, that'll make me a Powerball.
How close have you come to passing the Community Preservation Act?
We're talking about it.
Has it been voted other years?
We're talking about it, that's all we're doing.
First time?
Mr. Noon's pretty strong on that, I think. Right,
Because
Mr.
West Bridgewater was skeptical for a long time, and then they came around. And,
Yeah.
Actually, it was one proposal. I don't know if it was on the warrant, but it was one of the proposals to Mr. Dombrowski. He was looking for support.
Right.
Community preservation.
Right.
Yeah.
And the selectmen have put it on their agenda to try and form a committee to look at the pros and cons of it, and then give out more information about what this act actually is.
Yeah.
Because I think basically people don't know enough about it to have a good informed opinion about the whole
Sure.
thing.
I know in Hingham we just went for 1.5%, half of the 3%
Right.
maximum. And I realize that some years my extra bill is $30 or $40 over the year. I mean, it's
Right.
really a small house, and the first 100,000 is excluded. So if you have a $200,000 house, it's only the tax on half that value, and it can be 1%, 2%, or the whole 3%.
Yeah.
And in our town, this year I'm on the committee. I'm on the Housing Authority, therefore I represent it on the CPA committee, and we have 1.4 million available. The 0.4 is money that should have been used in housing and hasn't been, so it's still in
Talking
reserve
about
for
the town of
housing.
Hingham?
Hmm?
You talking about the town of Hingham?
Yeah.
Yeah, 56% of their properties has been bought or been taken over. 56%
There it
is
is.
open space, yeah.
So
That had
it's
to be
a-
in Boston Magazine.
I
Sounds a bit
didn't know
like
that, but
Abington.
it sounds like.
Me,
Sounds a bit like
yeah.
Abington.
But it's a,
Sounds a bit like Abington.
Yes, no,
right?
but my sister happens to be a recipient of the open space that they bought part of her land,
Who's that?
my sister.
Yeah, what land or?
Rockland Street,
Oh, yeah, whereabouts?
127,
can we-
the old Sydney's Pond.
Oh, this is the Noonan property.
Yeah,
Oh, the same Noonans?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Same Noonan?
No, I was
by
involved
my
with,
sister, yeah.
right, right. No, I was involved with that a couple of years ago, and then this year they bought part and they put a restriction on part and part was sold.
Can we move on?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
okay?
sure.
That's right around the
just,
corner there.
Thank you very much, though.
Oh,
thank you.
So it looks.
I'm sorry, I
really
didn't make the
good.
connection.
It's okay.
That's cool. So commissioners, just on the correspondence, there's an excellent magazine, River Watch, North and South Rivers Watershed Association. They've got a few things on. I'm going to pass that around to you. The other thing that we received on October 21st was the superseding order of conditions from the DP on Wyman Road. And as you remember, this was the project. And this is going to go to our file. In the superseding order, they do lay out a plan would have been put before them by one of the parties in it. And in that plan, there must have been maple trees. And so part of the plan is that they sow some. Let me see. I have a little page here. In the plan, planting additional red maple trees at least 5 feet high and 10-15 feet in the centre within an area shown on their map. They're not supposed to take down any more trees, keep up siltation control barriers, and keep hay bales around. So they're also going to have a 2-year reporting requirement during 2 growing seasons, where they send a report to DP with a copy to the Conservation Commission to you. So that may be the resolution of this case if all the parties are happy with this report. It would also be the resolution of the Superior Court case, if the parties are happy with this report. Okay. Approval of minutes. And so Nancy's going to have this if anybody wants to have a look at.
Well, October 8th wasn't done yet.
Oh, October, okay. So we're not going to do that. September 24, 2013. Did everybody have a chance to have a look at that?
I wasn't here for that, was I? September 24th. I think I was.
We don't have any
I
of those.
don't think you were. Actually, I don't think you were.
We can wait for the next
It'll
meeting.
Okay, building permits.
Everything I checked was all right.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Is there any other business or any other matter? Oh, there's one other thing. Thursday, 6:30, Town of Weymouth. Be there or be square. Right. That's and that is the Department of Transportation notice of intent for the construction of Route 18. It's taking place in the town of Weymouth because Weymouth is the main town that has to deal with this. Abington has a smaller part of it, but it's going to be a joint meeting of the 2 conservation commissions. Is everybody able to go?
Town hall, right?
I
That's
think
it?
so.
Yes, in the town hall. So we should have a quorum, I think, if it's just, even without Mr. Noon, it shouldn't be a problem. So it's on 6:30.
I might be able to go, but I might have to leave early.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I mean, they're going to. It's tough because we're going to be sitting there right through a lot of Weymouth stuff. But he said he is going to. They are going to address Abington at the beginning. So that might be. All right. Is there any other issues? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favour?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Do we, want to give
Just
these back
gonna
to Nancy?
turn it off.
You can have them for each time.
Yeah.
Thank you.